Long ago, a blue flame born from the void wakes up. It claims to be the ultimate primordial legacy, but honestly, despite all that cosmic power, this fiery little spark is lonely. Driven by that isolation, it tears open the dimensions. It squeezes out the first slivers of light, which somehow manifest as a cute little golden dragon curled up. He is cozy inside a cosmic egg, ridiculously smart, but packing a massive ego that smug little lizard treats his own creator like a mere stepping stone for his goals, before the primordial spark can even react to the betrayal. The ungrateful newborn opens his jaws wide, gulping down his own parent in one bite like a toddler eating candy. This sudden, stolen meal triggers a massive growth spurt. The brat turns into a giant beast in the blink of an eye. But trying to digest infinite cosmic magic, that is a great way to get a severe case of cosmic indigestion to relieve the pain. The golden dragon poops out to massive chunks of raw magic. They instantly hatch into a pair of newborn red and blue dragons, floating in the void, born as polar opposites. These two siblings waste absolutely no time establishing a mutual lifelong hatred, puffing up their cheeks like angry toddlers. They unleash their elemental fury on one another, resulting in a massive clash of fire and ice that lights up the empty cosmos. This petty sibling rivalry drags on for tens of thousands of years, while their parent just happily naps over eons the debris from their endless violence piles up, eventually creating solid land. Soon enough, a third sibling spawns, the green dragon, to join their chaotic family dynamic. While the golden slacker keeps sleeping, the trio flies around, endlessly pooping out even more magic, which fertilizes the newly formed world and triggers the sudden evolution of countless bizarre fantasy races. After eons of napping, the golden slacker finally opens his massive, glowing eye. He is soaring over the newly evolved world that literally grew out of his own digestive accidents. Now watch this. He decides this messy nest needs a serious cleanup. He deploys his army of loyal, glowing-eyed elves to act as his personal pest control, targeting the green dragon and the orc, since they did not originate from his magic. Meanwhile, the cosmic drama pauses as the scene shifts to Earth. During World War III, a soldier is busy showing off a picture of his cute daughter on his phone, grinning like a proud dad while completely ignoring the literal war zone around him, much to the absolute despair. The platoon leader is trying to run a briefing, but it's not going well. This proud father insists on showing off his kid instead. He thinks that matters way more than boring old military strategy. The veteran soldier even tries to play matchmaker, offering his daughter's hand. He's trying to trade it for some military perks, completely shameless. But his matchmaking gets cut short when duty calls him back to reality. Our quiet, masked protagonist wonders how he got stuck with such a chaotic superior. Their military convoy rolls through the dark, war-torn landscape under cover of night. Still, the persistent dad refuses to drop the subject, demanding an answer. He wants a date right now, but he's left baffled by the response. Our boy admits he knows absolutely nothing about romance. He gets a swift roast for being a boring soldier who only knows how to shoot. The veteran asks if he was some brainwashed Black Ops weapon before the draft. Meanwhile, a tiny, unsuspecting gecko clings to the wall, ignoring all the banter. Staring blankly at that little reptile, our socially awkward hero honestly confesses he has no clue. The veteran soldier pulls out his rugged smartphone. He holds onto his most precious possession, a family photo, plus final messages. He orders our young protagonist to fall back to the rear and avoid a pointless death. A confident smirk, a lollipop in hand, he makes sure his command sticks. Suddenly, the convoy's tires screech violently as absolute chaos erupts on the road. A massive explosion tears the entire military transport to shreds in seconds. The veteran's phone goes flying high into the night sky amidst the smoke. spinning gracefully through the air while the fiery destruction rages far below. Wait, something weird is happening. Bizarre cosmic energy wraps around the device, activating a dimensional rift. It drops the glowing smartphone right into the middle of a fantasy battlefield. That glowing phone lands right in the mud of a brutal, chaotic war zone. It reflects a savage clash where bloodthirsty elves are busy slaughtering every orc in sight. Then, a tiny golden dragon descends from the heavens to join the fray. This miniature deity unleashes a blinding burst of cosmic energy that illuminates the night. It blasts the high-tech smartphone away in a massive shockwave of pure magical force. As the device spins gracefully through the air under a strange crescent moon, a sudden dimensional rift opens up and violently sucks the phone right in. The glowing smartphone drops straight into the middle of a chaotic fantasy war. It lands in the mud, right in the thick of a brutal, savage battlefield. Bloodthirsty elves are slaughtering every orc in sight, turning the ground red. Then, from the heavens, a tiny golden dragon descends to join the fray. This miniature deity unleashes a blinding burst of pure cosmic energy. The night lights up as the blast sends that high-tech phone spinning away. A shockwave of magical force rips through the air, wild and untamed. Then, under a strange crescent moon, a sudden dimensional rift tears open. It violently sucks the phone into nothingness, leaving only cold air behind. Our savior reacts on pure, desperate instinct, lunging toward a live grenade. He tosses his rifle aside, flying through the air to shield a civilian. Staring right at the deadly explosive, he has one fierce desire: survive. Back on Earth, our masked hero stands amidst the wreckage. Smoking ruins everywhere. He checks the pulse of his commander. It's over. He has to take charge of the survivors. No time to hesitate. He shouts the order immediately. We're retreating. We have to reach the main force now. As he turns, his boot hits something in the mud. The commander's rugged smartphone, half buried in the dirt. He picks it up. The screen is still glowing faintly. A glitching photo of a family, a proud father. The man who just saved his life. It's hard to watch. A wave of grief hits him, quiet, heavy, sharp. Then determination sets in. He locks the screen tight. That empty promise to get everyone home, it haunts him. He isn't running away. He won't be a coward today. Not while his leader lies dead in the dirt. He swears to deliver this keepsake to the family. Meanwhile, back in the realm, a tiny blue gecko eats. But then, the ground shakes. Everything goes wild. A squad of furious orcs charges into the fray. They're desperate to save their brothers from this slaughter. An elf archer leaps. The air whistles with his movement. He looses a glowing arrow, deadly, precise, and fast. It tears right through an orc's thigh before he reacts. The brute crashes into the dirt, screaming in absolute agony. High above, the elf commander watches them with cold eyes. Pure, unfiltered disgust, he looks down like he's watching insects. He starts mocking the orcs, just pests in his forest. Pests that need to be cleared out for good. But the orcs don't care. They just keep throwing themselves forward. It's a brutal, chaotic melee. One warrior leads the charge. He swings a massive battle axe with everything he has. The elf commander dodges the clumsy hit with insulting ease. He draws his bowstring back, slow and very deliberate. That arrogant look on his face says it all. He fires, a blinding burst of magical energy explodes. It consumes the entire battlefield in one flash of light. Then, from the heavens, the green dragon swoops down. A massive beam of elemental energy rips through the sky. The elf forces scatter. The orcs cheer for their savior. The dragon lands, shielding the survivors with its massive body. But look, the legendary protector is coughing up blood. He's hurt bad. He orders an immediate retreat right now. You can see the pain in his eyes. He's failing. The orcs are devastated. They stand there, completely confused. Desperately, they start asking why he's giving up now. What happens to their ancestral homeland now? If they just run, the solemn guardian has to make one painful call, to abandon their territory completely. Spreading his massive wings, the ancient protector vows to reclaim everything they are losing today, standing tall as the absolute authority over life and death. Inside these sacred woods, he lets out a defiant roar that echoes across the field, sealing his sacred oath. The desperate orcs rally behind their protector, swearing to take back their home from those arrogant elves. The green dragon lets out a mighty roar, promising pure vengeance against the oppressors, but this dramatic moment gets cut short by a mocking voice from above, followed by a blinding beam of light, striking the green dragon with deadly, pinpoint accuracy. This sudden, devastating attack tears right through the ancient guardian's chest, leaving the orcs horrified as they watch their legendary savior stumble backward, completely helpless against the overwhelming power pouring down from the clouds. The golden dragon aggressively pins his green sibling to the dirt, asserting absolute dominance while crushing the very life out of the self-proclaimed protector. He mocks the green beast as an inferior, pathetic husk that doesn't even deserve to exist, forcing the terrified orcs to realize they are facing the ultimate, godlike creator of this world. The golden dragon makes his grand entrance, pinning down his green sibling with total ease, roaring in desperate protest. The green protector claims this dark forest has always been his, but the golden tyrant just laughs in his face, calling his brother a mere foolish creation before proudly declaring himself the ultimate primordial deity who rules over every single thing. Hovering high above the broken green beast, he prepares to assert his total authority, screaming that his word is absolute law in this new world, while his loyal elven army continues to slaughter the helpless orcs in the background, refusing to let his pristine, sacred dimension be overrun by what he calls filthy beasts coughing up blood. The green dragon snaps back, calling out his brother's obnoxious, glowing arrogance, which the golden tyrant considers a splendid final word before charging up his ultimate attack, sending his dying wishes through the rift. The green protector prays for a peaceful future as a blinding beam of cosmic energy shoots across the void to deliver his last hope, leaving the ancient beast behind. He falls into the dark, cursing his own pathetic weakness. Bitterly, he wishes for the raw, destructive power of his red sibling's eternal, raging dragon flames, or perhaps the brilliant, cold intellect of the blue dragon, to outsmart their golden creator. That would have given him the chance to finally exact his revenge against that arrogant golden tyrant. Instead, his final essence condenses into a glowing egg that drops right into a human hand. Our masked protagonist stares in absolute bewilderment at this bizarre, glowing fantasy souvenir, holding the heavy, patterned object up to the light. To check he's not hallucinating, he quietly kneels in the dirt. How did a simple military mission turn into dragon babysitting? Meanwhile, the scene shifts back to Earth, to the brutal Northeast Asia front of World War III, where a tiny, pampered gecko is busy enjoying a juicy worm snack courtesy of our masked protagonist, who apparently moonlights as a dedicated reptile caretaker. But his peaceful bonding time gets interrupted by a shout from behind. A fellow soldier reports that maintenance is done, sending the little lizard scurrying away, prompting Sergeant Legion to gear up for his next grueling assignment. He steps outside and finds his squad whispering about some unexpected commotion nearby. Pushing through, he demands an explanation and finds a terrified young girl who wandered up the mountain all by herself to deliver a strange offering. Standing nervously with her loyal dog, she holds out a couple of random matchboxes. The girl explains her dog wants to trade them for some actual food, but Legion does not care, instantly ordering his men to send her packing. The soldiers just stand there, awkward, with the crying kid and her dog, as our cold-hearted protagonist walks away. His squad mates look on in total disbelief. Then, the desperate girl suddenly lunges forward, and grabs his sleeve, crying out his title, while the little dog barks furiously at his back. Watching the drama, the other soldiers whisper about how incredibly ruthless he is, has the brutal war completely stripped away his remaining humanity. But instead of pushing her away, Legion silently reaches into his heavy tactical vest. The startled girl flinches, bracing herself for a harsh rejection. Legion just drops a handful of military rations right into her trembling hands, proving that beneath his icy exterior, he still feels. Legion watches over his people, and a bright, hopeful smile lights up the girl's face. But their brief peace gets shattered by a sudden, chilling sound. The relaxed soldiers scramble. They realize they aren't safe anymore. A hostile kamikaze drone swoops down from the sky to attack. Legion screams at his squad to get into the trenches immediately. The terrified girl and her dog trip, struggling to get away. Our protagonist sprints directly toward the incoming danger with his rifle. His panicking squad mates desperately try to mount a defense against the drone. They scream for him to stop, but their warnings are drowned out. A deafening roar of artillery fills the air. The soldiers watch in horror as their crazy leader ignores every protocol. Sergeant Legion locks his sights onto the target. He refuses to let his squad down. He shields the crying girl with his own body. Legion unleashes a relentless hail of bullets. The kamikaze drone blows into a million pieces of smoking metal. Before this brutal war turned him into a killing machine, he was gentle. He used to be a part-timer at a local pet shop. He spent his days staring at fish and feeding pampered reptiles. He found absolute happiness caring for every adorable creature he met. No matter how many fallen comrades he carries from the war zone, he feels nothing. Regardless of the shiny medals his superiors pin to his chest, he feels empty. Under his heavy helmet, he hides that deep, lingering exhaustion. Deep down, he never wanted to become some legendary battlefield savior. Suddenly, he dives recklessly toward a live grenade to protect the girl. He tosses his rifle aside, flying through the air on pure instinct. He stares directly at the deadly explosive with a fierce desire to survive. You see that look? He's absolutely not ready to die yet. He snatches the metal canister right out of the air. He curls his body tightly around the weapon to absorb the blast. He braces himself for the end, clutching his final hope of home. Legion curls up on the ground, waiting for a devastating explosion. But the blast never actually comes. He slowly opens his eyes. He snatches that metal canister out of the air before it can go off. Now watch this. He curls his body around the weapon, bracing for the end. Clutching his final hope of making it home, he waits for the blast. Legion curls tight on the ground, ready for a devastating explosion. It never comes. He slowly opens his eyes, heartbeat slowing down. He proudly declares the orcs are the true ultimate warriors here. A highly skeptical Leech questions why on earth he would choose them. But the system registers his confusion as a definitive, locked-in selection. Both our soldier and the ancient beast stand there, completely stunned. Choosing such an uncivilized race has a catch. It triggers a massive bonus. The leftover value converts instantly into huge taming stat boosts. Exhausted, our lead realizes he's somehow still in one piece. He looks down and finds a strange, glowing green object. It's not the explosive he expected. It's something else entirely. Staring at the bizarre, patterned egg, Legion wonders if the battlefield stress is finally making him see things that aren't there. But a booming, majestic voice suddenly echoes directly inside his head. It claims to rule the sacred forest with absolute authority. This voice keeps boasting about giving and taking life in ancient swamps. Then, the massive spirit of the green dragon manifests to command him. It orders our soldier to raise him right here, right now. Legion gives the ancient deity a look of pure, unbothered annoyance. He completely ignores the legendary beast's grand, long-winded speech. Casually, he lets the priceless egg slip right through his fingers. The mythical savior of the orcs bounces uselessly onto the dirt, just like a cheap toy, and the dragon is absolutely losing it. Enraged by this blatant disrespect, the green dragon screams at him. Legion doesn't flinch, he just draws his sidearm, steady and calm. He aims the barrel right at the noisy, shimmering beast. This ancient guardian scoffs, calling Legion as foolish as any other human. He boasts his form is the culmination of countless legendary dragon lives. Meanwhile, our hero just watches the priceless egg roll around. It's gathering dust, treated exactly like a piece of common garbage. Legion has zero patience for this ego-driven monologue. He points his gun directly at the dragon's snout. Watch the deity's face. He's sweating bullets now, totally panicked. He awkwardly starts praising his captor's guts and incredible bravery. Looking around the empty, white void, Legion finally has questions. He doesn't know where he is or what's actually happening. He asks if he really died in that grenade blast. The green dragon confirms it with a massive, creepy, toothy grin. That smile seals our hero's bizarre, new fate. Legion demands to know about his squad and that little girl. The dragon just scoffs, calling his real-world attachments trivial. He treats reincarnation like a gift. Legion isn't buying it. Our soldier just taps his cold gun against the fragile egg. That simple movement forces the terrified deity to drop the act. He starts stammering, realizing this hostage taker is actually ruthless. The ancient beast panics under the barrel, cursing his luck. How did this mere human bypass his divine aura so easily? Glaring coldly, our protagonist demands the truth about his arrival. If the dragon is clueless, he's about to find out the hard way. The sweating protector begins to admit that something much bigger, something far more dangerous, is lurking in the shadows here. Legion just keeps the pressure on, refusing to let him off easy. Because in this place, whoever holds the ick holds all the power. A higher power hijacked their soul contract. That explains it. The Golden Tyrant's dimensional blast completely shattered reality itself. During their clash, his dying soul was cast out, left drifting aimlessly through that terrifying, endless void of death. As the green dragon's vision fades into the dark expanse, a mysterious divine voice suddenly echoes from the silence. It awakens him, breaking down the features of a new world. Then the system commands him choose a designated breeder for his new form. He expects some legendary, chosen hero meant to guide his path, someone destined to help him reclaim his former, ancient glory. But then, he witnesses Legion recklessly diving onto a live grenade. A split-second move to save a child, just like that. This soldier has that same cool, calculating, brilliant blue intellect, mixed with the fierce, unwavering spirit of the red dragon's flames. And get this, he actually has real-world experience, caring for fragile, pampered little reptiles, professional stuff. The ancient deity realizes he hit the absolute jackpot with this guy. But Legion just stares back, cold as ice. He demands to know what this so-called Pixar system really is. A sudden chime rings out. The system officially welcomes Legion home. The interface introduces Big 3, a digital assistant for this world. The green dragon is terrified. He recognizes that voice. It belongs to his almighty creator, but Legion. He just pulls out his tactical smartphone, completely unfazed. While the ancient beast rants about cosmic intervention, a prompt pops up. It's time to select a starting race. First is the human, a balance of freedom and heavy plate. Then the sturdy dwarf, granting legendary crafting and creation power. And the elf, representing noble introspection with a sleek longbow. Suddenly, the dragon screams in pure, unbridled fury. He declares that the only good elf is a dead one. This green dragon insists that orcs are the ultimate warriors. Legion looks at him, totally skeptical. Why would he pick them? But the system reads his confusion as a definitive, locked-in choice. Now both the soldier and the ancient beast are stunned. Fortunately, choosing an uncivilized race has its own rewards. The leftover value converts into massive taming stat boosts instantly. His very first otherworldly pet, Eigen, recoils in pure, unadulterated panic. A bizarre, squishy creature leaps directly at his face fast. He realizes his hands are covered in a thick, sticky layer of glowing blue slime. The real shock hits when he looks down and sees his own skin turning blue. A second, pinkish companion appears as a special trait activates. Their friend is melting, but it turns out Dookie's survival trick is fission. It splits one helpless puddle into 3 adorable, tiny new beasts. Now, our bewildered soldier is awkwardly holding his newly multiplied squad. He maxes out his taming stats, snagging the legendary title of Dragon Breeder. Legion is completely baffled, trying to make sense of these bizarre new attributes. And get this, the green dragon starts funneling raw divine energy, pumping it straight into that floating egg. The ancient beast starts chanting, acting like the world is about to end. It prophesies that the golden twilight is over, urging our hero to rise up. Stand strong against the golden pride, it says, while the reality screen blinks. The dragon orders Legion to resurrect it and build a legendary green army. But our unbothered soldier, he just starts blasting his rifle, firing shot after shot right over the majestic beast's head. The ancient deity is left completely dumbfounded. A grand, epic speech cut short by gunfire. That dragon's spirit gets forced right back inside the glowing green egg. It floats there in the void until a massive pillar of light erupts. The dimensional transfer begins. As his vision fades, Legion remembers his one simple wish, just to raise peaceful creatures in peace. He falls deep into the dark void, realizing the system took him way too literally. His cozy pet shop days are dead and buried, replaced by this chaotic fantasy mess. He can already feel the dread, wondering what kind of nightmare he'll have to breed. Then, our guy slowly opens his eyes to face his bizarre new reality. Legion wakes up in a dark void, questioning if he actually kicked the bucket. He starts sinking into a massive, endless ocean. His heavy military gear drifts away, but a system alert pings in his mind. That discarded gear is currently feeding a low-level slime. The bizarre creature instantly starts to mutate. Legion desperately reaches for his sinking pistol. Suddenly, a warm, damp sensation wraps around his body. The slime devours his handgun, triggering another massive evolution. He keeps drifting deeper into the dark, watery abyss. Panicked gasps escape his lips. He is completely out of oxygen. Then, just like that, he's hacking up water on dry land. He's under a peaceful, moonlit forest sky. Catching his breath, Legion looks down. A strange, squishy creature is resting right beside him. It happily chirps at its new master, his very first otherworldly pet. Legion recoils in sheer panic as the thing leaps directly at his face. He realizes his hands are covered in a thick, sticky layer of glowing blue slime. But the real shock hits him hard. He looks down, and his own skin has turned completely blue. They're all tiny, squeaking monsters, and he has no idea what to do. For the first time in ages, a genuine wave of relief washes over him. Meanwhile, the defeated elf groans in the dirt, broken and finished. Legion and his goblins celebrate their bizarre, totally unexpected victory. He looks down and freezes. His skin has turned a deep, solid blue. Under the moonlight, our protagonist stares at his own reflection. Sharp fangs, pointed ears. He realizes what just happened. That system really went through with it. He's a full-blown orc. Before he can even process the shock of his monstrous look, a cheerful chirp echoes from the grass right at his feet. The former soldier frantically pats down his pockets for weapons, but a sudden, cold dread hits him like a freight train. His high-tech military gear completely vanished into thin air. Turns out his adorable new pet is the real culprit here. The little slime is busy chewing on his tactical glove, happily munching his expensive uniform, triggering its very first evolution. Legion watches in pure horror as the slime finishes its meal. The creature devours his entire loadout in one sitting. His only chance to escape this mess is to move now, while the slime is still distracted by his gear. but as he bolts, his foot bumps something hard in the dirt. A glowing dragon egg, he snatches the precious green artifact up. He refuses to leave his only leverage behind in this forest. The clueless slime is still munching his glove, totally oblivious. Legion doesn't look back. He just runs. Our blue-skinned hero sprints headfirst into the dark, unfamiliar woods. He gasps for air, his heavy orc lungs struggling to adapt. But then a sudden sharp glint in the shadows stops him. A deadly wooden arrow grazes his cheek, shattering any sense of safety. Out of the darkness, a hostile goblin leaps for an ambush. Our hero is unarmed, completely exposed to the crazed monster. The goblin lunges with a rusted dagger. Legion braces for pain. But suddenly, his gluttonous little slime launches through the air. With a heroic squeak, it splatters right onto his chest. It shields its master just as the blade strikes home. A blinding flash of light erupts as its mimicry skill activates. The slime reforms into his lost tactical vest, blocking the steel. The stunned goblin is wide open. Legion needs a weapon now. Pay attention, here is where the tide finally turns. The system authorizes a rapid transformation for his loyal pet. It instantly materializes as his trusty K5 handgun. He pulls the trigger, blasting the monster back into the dark. The deafening gunshot echoes through the canopy, shaking the nearby village. Miles away, a cozy tavern hears the blast over their drinks. That sound, it's not going to go unnoticed for long. Meanwhile, a mysterious, hooded runner dashes through the moonlit trees, moving with strange focus, completely ignoring the local wildlife. They're heading straight for the source of that noise. Whatever is happening out here, the hunt has definitely begun. And for Legion, the survival game has reached a new level. She reveals one long, elegant pointed ear, confirming she is an elf. One of those hated elves. She stops mid-fight, moving with pure grace. She tracks the source of that sudden, deafening gunshot. Looking up at the bright full moon, she senses a strange feeling. A disturbance in the woods unveils a stunning elven warrior. She is ready to hunt down whatever monster caused that noise. Deep inside a nearby rocky cave, frantic goblin shrieks echo out. They are in absolute terror. A helpless little green monster hangs. He is upside down, trembling from head to toe. Right next to his blue buddy, both of them are completely bound. They are whimpering for their lives, but Legion just towers over them. He coldly orders his new prisoners to shut up, glaring. With those piercing red eyes, he makes sure they know who is boss. These captured goblins tremble in fear. They realize their interrogator is not some typical, brainless monster. Spreading out his meager loot, Legion carefully inspects his fantasy gear. He checks the items while his gluttonous little slime chirps. It happily introduces itself to its new master as Dookie. Our protagonist ponders his next move, planning his survival as an orc. The adorable creature suddenly launches into the air with a heroic squeak. It splatters directly onto his chest to shield him from a sudden, stealthy goblin ambush. Just in time. A brilliant burst of divine energy suddenly erupts from the impact. It instantly reforms into his lost tactical vest. It blocks the lethal blade, prompting the system to authorize a shift. As the slime flows over his hand, it perfectly materializes. It forms his trusty K5 handgun to blast the threat away. This masked goblin stares directly down the barrel. He realizes too late he picked the absolute wrong target. With his eye glowing pink, Legion locks onto his target. The system activates his combat skill. He pulls the trigger of his newly materialized handgun. Now watch this, he delivers some rapid-fire fantasy justice. A blinding laser blast erupts from the barrel. It hits the charging monster dead in the chest. That leaves his blue-skinned archer buddy to scream in absolute horror. His comrade gets vaporized, but our tactical protagonist doesn't waste time. He dodges an incoming arrow with ease. Sliding gracefully across the forest floor, he takes aim. He points his weapon directly at the remaining archer's face. He unleashes two devastating energy shots. They pierce right through the monster's chest armor. It sends the stunned creature stumbling backward. His life bar rapidly drains to 0. Legion watches coldly from the ground. Modern firearms easily win. Eigen stands tall. Victory over those goblins finally his. But his triumph gets cut short, way short. A wave of pure panic hits our blue-skinned hero. That weapon in his hand starts vibrating, and he's helpless. The materialized handgun just melts into a gooey liquid mess. Turns out his gluttonous little flame ran out of juice. The creature just collapsed, totally spent. Retreating to a cave, Eigen starts logging his bizarre new companion. He notes the slime mimics anything it swallows, but only for a bit. Once the energy drains, the mimicry is gone, which means his cool knee gun is firing pathetic rubber bullets. Talk about a tactical nightmare. His arsenal is basically down to a few weak warning shots. Realizing he needs real intel, the soldier boots up his smartphone. He tries to summon his digital assistant, but get this. The thing completely ghosts him on his current location. To make matters worse, it provides 0 survival intel. The assistant is failing him at every turn. Gina realizes his phone is basically just a paperweight now. But then his adorable little slime chirps, drawing his focus. It points back to that mysterious, glowing dragon egg. Staring at the artifact, he tries to piece this mess together. That dramatic ancient beast demanded to be resurrected. He was basically kidnapped to be a mercenary for a giant lizard. Shifting focus to the trembling prisoners, he starts his first interrogation. He demands to know if they're some kind of weird aliens. The monsters just whimper in response. He asks where they are, if anyone here even speaks English. Losing his patience, he roars at them. The terrified goblins fly into absolute hysterics. You ever feel like you're talking to a brick wall? Legion realizes talking to these locals is a total lost cause. He has no choice but to hatch that dragon egg. Maybe the beast can give him some real answers. Pragmatic as ever, he knows survival comes first. Securing a safe base is his absolute top priority here. He drags his prisoners outside to scout the hostile terrain. Suddenly, one of the goblins shrieks, hoisting a massive rock. It slams the stone down with surprising, raw force. Seems they want to prove they can be useful laborers. That works for him. He's already got them digging. One goblin shrieks, hoisting a massive rock high above its head. It slams the stone down with surprising force. Look at that, they are actually useful laborers now. And perfect timing, since Legion already has them digging. Legion realizes these hostile locals still pose the greatest threat to his life. Inspecting their meager rations, he calculates their main tribe is nearby. Their village is only a single day's travel away from his position. Legion beckons his cute little slime over to assist him. He deduces his prisoners are just low-level patrol scouts for the tribe. His slime shifts back into his trusty K5 handgun in a heartbeat. With a wet, squishy pop, the weapon is ready for action. Knowing goblin reinforcements are likely on the way, he needs actionable intel. He approaches the trembling captives to try a totally different communication method, drawing a crude stick cartoon of himself and Dookie in the dirt. He starts the lesson, pointing directly at his own chest. He establishes his identity to the confused green monsters before them. Then he taps the 2 smaller drawings representing his terrified new prisoners, making sure they understand exactly who is who in this high-stakes, low-budget presentation. He prepares to move to the next vital question. Next, he points to a drawing of their village huts. He needs to locate their main base to survive this mission. He demands to know their exact coordinates with a dramatic hand wave. This green goblin tries to explain something, babbling excitedly in his tongue. His blue partner just screams in panic while Legion watches intently. The communication barrier remains completely unbroken, and time is running out. Shouting gibberish at the top of his lungs, the captive tries negotiating. But he freezes instantly as a cold metal barrel presses against his temple. Legion stares him down with absolute authority, delivering a chilling greeting. making it crystal clear that their lives depend entirely on their cooperation. He points his weapon down at the crude stick drawings again, before gesturing toward the two freshly dug graves waiting beside them. This blunt threat works like a charm on the terrified monsters. Both goblins immediately point toward a distant ridge in the distance, leaving our pragmatic soldier to realize their village is much further away. Watching from the dense foliage, a mysterious observer keeps a close eye. She narrows her golden eyes, silently assessing this bizarre blue-skinned stranger. Meanwhile, our hero decides to hand his prisoners some dried meat, a strategic reward prompting the tearful monsters to happily scarf it down. They are eating what is literally their own stolen food right now, but their joyful snacking is instantly cut short by a sudden reaction. A bizarre magical force ripples through the air at that very second. Now watch this, a blinding blue aura erupts around the goblins, catching Legion completely off guard as the situation spirals out of control. Our hero decides to toss his prisoners some dried meat. It's a strategic move, prompting the tearful little monsters to happily scarf down what is literally their own stolen food. But their joyful snacking is cut short by a sudden, bizarre magical reaction as a blinding blue aura erupts around the terrified goblins, catching Legion completely off guard, revealing his discarded smartphone on the ground, now glowing with intense, otherworldly system energy. It turns out feeding them horned frog jerky has triggered an automated taming sequence. It instantly forces the submissive goblins to bow in absolute loyalty to their new master, leaving a baffled Legion to suddenly unlock a basic understanding of their demonic language. This hidden elven warrior gasps in sheer disbelief at the sudden magical display, immediately leaping backward to avoid detection while preparing to report this crazy development. She taps her forehead to channel a high-level telepathic link back home. She introduces herself as Celia to establish a direct connection with the High Council. Towering, ancient, elven elders materialize in her mind, coldly demanding her report. Kneeling respectfully, she explains she is currently scouting the outskirts of the dark forest. Her eyes widen with absolute dread as she prepares to deliver shocking news, revealing she just spotted a highly unusual orc wandering the woods, somehow wielding the legendary green dragon's highest grade taming magic. This leaves the ancient council completely speechless over this impossible, gun-toting fantasy anomaly. Kneeling before her elders, Celia waits anxiously as they process her unbelievable report. The ancient council members look down, addressing her by her full name before condescendingly asking about her age, calling her a warrior who lost her bowstring. Confused by the sudden shift in topic, she hesitantly reveals she is 150. That prompts the smug elder to let out a condescending sigh. He rumbles about how kids these days are totally undisciplined compared to his golden era. This blatant disrespect leaves the young scout utterly speechless as she stares back in shock. But the council shifts focus, immediately summoning a legendary warrior known as the Son of Light, a towering, the elegant elven commander steps forward, meeting their gaze with perfect calm. The High Council summon him on a whim, only for things to turn sour. An elder immediately tears into him, mocking his inability to control his own subordinates. The reprimand is brutal. He's getting absolutely roasted by the council. They threaten to discipline him right behind the sacred mother tree. A final warning hangs in the air: handle the situation himself, or else. Then, the council's glowing projection flickers and fades into thin air. He rubs his aching temples, sheer frustration written all over his face. The stressed commander turns back to Celia, finally acknowledging her deep desire for revenge. She's still reeling from the news about the dragon, absolutely reeling. They crippled her and ruined her archery career, pointing out that the beast was supposedly wiped out without leaving any magical traces. Her claims of a magic-wielding orc sound like nothing but pure, delusional blasphemy. She tries to protest, her golden eyes wide with shock as her credibility completely crumbles. Instead, her superior berates her for bypassing the chain of command with such a PO or LY researched report. He demands to know if she even understands military protocol before coldly dismissing her from his sight. The humiliated scout has to swallow her pride and silently plot her next move. Celia drops to her knees in absolute frustration, completely abandoned by her own stubborn leaders, slamming her fist into the dirt as she curses the arrogant elders who dismissed her. She is furious that they would completely ignore her warning just because she can no longer shoot a bow. Clutching her scarred arm, she swears to hunt down the green dragon that crippled her career. With eyes burning with pure hatred, she vows to erase the beast from existence. Meanwhile, a bizarre yellow lizard monster aggressively ambushes a helpless blue bird in the forest. Legion silently observes from the bushes alongside his newly tamed goblin squad, who excitedly explain that the scaly creature is actually a highly delicious local delicacy. Before long, a massive blue-shelled crab carrying a literal treasure chest on its back crawls into view, prompting the goblins to quickly warn their master that this armored beast tastes absolutely terrible. Suddenly, a massive horned bear monster lets out a deafening roar that echoes through the trees. It prompts the terrified goblins to warn Legion that this beast is way too dangerous to hunt. They explain that their tribe's coming-of-age ritual literally involved collecting this terrifying monster's dung, which they failed miserably, resulting in them getting kicked out of their village as useless outcasts. But their tragic backstory takes a wholesome turn as they proudly declare him their new savior. It leaves our pragmatic soldier to immediately crush their dreams by denying he is their master. But the desperate monsters cling to his arm, insisting they are from the same demonic race. They reach out their hands to prove they all share the exact same shade of green skin. It leaves Legion to stare in absolute silence at their completely different colored hands, while the goblins quickly pivot, claiming their demonic race does not discriminate based on skin color. Night falls, heavy and thick, over the dangerous forest. A small fire crackles, casting long shadows under the bright full moon. Legion sits by the flames, scribbling down notes while his newly tamed minions sleep soundly. He reflects on these bizarre, dinosaur-like predators and the hostile wildlife lurking in every corner of this wilderness. It makes him realize that absolute danger is constantly waiting to ambush him. Staring into the fire, our pragmatic hero jots down survival strategies to stay alive. He remembers how his past self would have been thrilled to study these exotic fantasy beasts. His loyal little slime watches the drooling goblin snooze without a single care, but reality quickly pulls Legion back, hardening his expression. He faces this grim life, accepting that his days of being a peaceful animal lover are officially gone for good. Only a hardened soldier remains to survive the night. As the campfire embers fade, a violent memory of a raging inferno flashes through his sleeping mind. It drags him back to the day his entire world burned to the ground. He stares at his useless phone while crying out in absolute despair, helplessly watching his beloved companion get consumed by the merciless roaring flames. He's screaming in pure agony as everything he cared about turns to ash. But a sudden snapping sound in the dark forest instantly shatters his nightmare, forcing our alert soldier's eyes to snap open. With absolute lethal focus, he snatches his sleeping slime off the ground. In a split second, he aims his weapon into the dark, demanding to know who is there, only to find two incredibly startled human scouts staring back in absolute terror. Those two bewildered scouts stand at the edge of the clearing, frozen as they look at his raised weapon. Our pragmatic soldier stops, shocked to realize these intruders are actually human. The terrified scouts scream in a foreign tongue, waving a sword in panic. Legion quickly raises his hand, desperately trying to de-escalate the standoff. But his newly tamed goblin minions leap from the shadows, eager to defend their master. Realizing a misunderstanding is about to turn bloody, he screams at his overzealous guards to stop. Suddenly, a figure kicks off the ground with superhuman speed. It is Celia, diving straight into the chaotic fray. To protect her fellow travelers, the terrified scouts scramble to escape the sudden, multi-sided forest ambush. The nimble elven warrior clashes midair with the lunging beast. To save them, Celia unleashes a devastating high kick. Her leg slices through the air with lethal, pinpoint precision. She slams her heel directly into the blue goblin face. With bone-shattering force, she sends the monster flying backward. It crashed into the trees from the sheer, brutal impact. Legion watches, completely bewildered, as his newly tamed minion gets launched. Meanwhile, the agile elf lands gracefully before the trembling human travelers. Drawing her sword, she glares with pure hatred at the supposed threat. She steps forward under the moonlight to deliver a dramatic, highly theatrical speech. She proudly announces her full name, Celia Tiscarella. Her confused enemies just stare. But our pragmatic hero is left utterly baffled by her bizarre accusations. Before he can blink, she raises her blade, swearing to exterminate them all. In a blaze of glory, Celia dramatically points her glowing weapon. She introduces herself with a highly theatrical battle cry. Then she boldly declares war on the wicked ox shaman and his stinking goblin minion. Poor Legion is left sweating, completely lost as to why she is targeting him. To make matters worse, her speech sounds like absolute gibberish to our hero. Now watch this, the moment everything goes wrong. He raises his hands in a desperate bid to resolve this peacefully. But his human words, they only translate to terrifying, guttural monster grunts. The scouts are terrified by his weird hand gestures. Celia warns the humans that he is casting mind control magic. Legion watches the chaotic misunderstanding unfold with a deeply concerned expression. Realizing things are spiraling out of control, he decides to act. He pulls back the hammer of his weapon to fire a warning shot. He needs to put an end to this madness right now. He pulls the trigger. His heart drops as his weapon clicks uselessly in his hand. He realizes with absolute horror that his gun is completely out of ammo. Ejecting the empty magazine, our pragmatic soldier watches his last bullets scatter away. Sylvia locks her glowing eyes onto him. She declares that his wicked spellcasting ends today. Leaping high into the night sky, the agile elf descends like lightning. She aims her blade straight at the defenseless green squad. She wants to end this once and for all. Before anyone can react, she drives her sword directly into the goggled goblin. It's brutal. Watching their companion get struck down, the remaining goblins freeze in shock. The human scouts are just as frozen. Absolute panic. But Legion moves like a blur, already launching his next strike. He steps in, blocking her lethal strike with his bare arm. That arrogant elf is stunned, dead silent. Legion's eyes glow with pure, unadulterated fury. He stops that blade cold with his skin, leaving her speechless. He doesn't hesitate, immediately countering with a swift, heavy blow that sends her reeling backward. Golden eyes widen. In absolute disbelief, she gasps at his monstrous strength. Seizing the opening, our pragmatic hero cold-bloodedly points his empty gun right at her face. She instantly executes a desperate midair flip to escape, his line of fire landing gracefully on the grass. She keeps her distance from this surprisingly dangerous opponent. Panting, clutching her bruised chest, Celia glares at him with pure, unbridled rage, screaming in absolute fury that a lowly monster dared to touch her. Now she begins chanting a high-tier wind spell to wipe his entire squad off the map. Dark blood slowly drips from Legion's arm. After his desperate bare-handed block, Legion kneels in pain. His terrified goblin minion watches him struggle to hold his weapon, staring down at his blood-soaked, trembling hand our hero realizes his fingers won't even move. Shoving his loyal minion away, he screams at the goblins to run, turning back to face the charging elf. He prepares to buy them some precious time. Suddenly, a sharp wide blade slices into Celia's leg, catching her completely off guard. Before Legion can react, multiple deep gashes rip across his own body in a bloody flash. Our battered soldier is completely overwhelmed by the sheer blinding speed of her wind magic. That exact moment, his loyal slime companion drips onto his gun, coating it in liquid, making him realize this bizarre upgrade might just give him one final, desperate shot, while the agile elf circles him like a hurricane. Preparing to deliver the finishing blow, Legion aims, preparing to unleash a desperate shot to stop her. But Celia closes the distance in a flash, her blade slicing through the air with lethal intent under the bright moonlight. The two warriors clash in a high-speed dance of survival. Watching from the sidelines, the goggled goblin gasps in sheer terror as the battle rages on. Suddenly, a shiny golden ornament flies through the air, landing right into his trembling hands, leaving him completely baffled as he stares at the glowing, crescent-shaped elven accessory. Meanwhile, Celia loses her balance mid-strike. Her eyes widen in absolute shock as she trips forward, sending both the clumsy elf and the startled goblin slam face first into the dirt together. They stare at the chaos, and honestly, it's a total disaster zone. Our pragmatic hero, Legion, wonders if his desperate gamble actually worked. Then, horror. He watches his overcharged gun completely fall apart on the grass. Legion stares in disbelief at his shattered weapon. But wait, the real tragedy is unfolding right beside him. This goggled goblin wails in pure panic, scooping up a puddle. It's their melted slime companion. Poor Dookie is just a helpless, gooey mess. Right before their eyes, Dookie is just liquid. Staring at the dripping residue on his palm, Legion feels a wave of cold dread. It triggers a violent, painful rush of memories from his past. The day he lost his human comrades in battle. And that agonizing moment his beloved pet was cruelly snatched away. Back in the blazing ruins, the exact memory he's buried for years. Suddenly, a system notification flashes red. His psychological trauma has triggered a severe PTSD status. And here is where it gets dangerous. His body forces an activation. A high-risk special skill, Berserker. Unleashing a blood-curdling roar, Legion completely loses his mind. He descends into pure, unbridled rage. His goblin minion trembles, horrified at the demon he just unleashed. Terrified human scouts scramble to escape, dropping their gear left and right. A monstrous shadow looms over them as a combat boot slams the grass. With bone-rattling force, Legion stands there, completely consumed by the dark, raging aura of his berserker state. He looks like an absolute demon looming over the fallen elf. Legion glares down with pure, murderous intent. His monstrous hand claws forward, ready to crush her skull for good. But then a sudden, heartwarming memory of his pet turtle flashes through his mind. It freezes his lethal strike midair. He's fighting to regain control of his shattered sanity. Snapping out of that blind rage, his eyes widen in absolute shock. He looks back, gasping for air. The crying goblin is standing next to a bizarre, glowing golden creature. It looks up with big, watery eyes, chirping out a very familiar name to its master. Legion stands under the moonlight, staring down at that puddle. The slime companion is bizarrely transforming right there on the grass. Suddenly, his phone lights up with a glowing system notification, a warning of a fatal error. It displays a nostalgic message from his old commander, urging him to live on his own terms. At that exact moment, the goose shifts. A spiky orange creature pops out, chirping its own name, looking for a new beginning. Then a second, pinkish companion appears right beside him. A special trait activates to save their melting friend. Turns out, Dookie has a weird trick. His survival mechanism is fission. He literally reproduces by splitting apart. One helpless puddle just turned into 3 tiny, adorable new beasts. Now our bewildered soldier is left awkwardly holding his brand new squad. They're just tiny, squeaking monsters, but for the first time in ages, he smiles. A genuine wave of relief washes over his weary face. Meanwhile, the defeated elf just groans in the dirt nearby. And Legion, he and his goblins are celebrating this bizarre, unexpected victory.